Well, after a tumultuous week facing of fraud accusations, the Adani Group can heave a sigh of relief as its flagship share sale is fully subscribed. U.S. short seller Hindenburg's report sparked an onslaught of the group's stocks and bonds, threatening the $2.5 billion secondary sale. And in the final hours, corporates and foreign institutional investors helped push Adani's enterprises offer to the finishing line. While the sell-off in Adani-related shares eased today, it may not be over. Adani Total Gas dropping by the 10% daily limit, with Adani Green Energy reversing earlier losses to close about 3% higher. Meantime, Adani Enterprises got a bit of a boost today, closing about 1.9% up. However, it is still below the floor price of 3,112 rupees in the share sale. Now, since Hindenburg issued its report, more than $70 billion of the group's market value has been eroded. The Hindenburg report and its fallout have drawn global attention. Chairman Gautam Adani is now out of the world's top 10 richest list. The Indian tycoon has seen his personal wealth plunge $34 billion in 3 trading days. The sale is critical for him as he faces one of his biggest business and reputational challenges. As the country's largest follow-on offering, it is also a stamp of confidence in India Inc. The Adani saga roiling India's stock markets as well. Investors are looking to government spending to spark a rebound. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government will present its annual budget to the parliament tomorrow. Plans for spending and revenue will also be in focus ahead of India's general elections next year as the 72-year-old seeks a 3rd term in office. Rebecca Bunnan reports.
Factory owner Amir Baig is still struggling to get his business back on its feet, even after the economy reopened following the pandemic. He says high fuel costs, surging labour rates and steep raw material prices are all cutting into his profits. Mr. Baig is hoping the government might listen to the plea of small business owners like him and deliver tax relief in the upcoming annual budget.
ताकि वो जब वो भर ही नहीं पाएंगे, भर के ख़त्म हो जाएंगे तो बिजनेस बढ़ा नहीं पाएंगे और इसके हिसाब से आम लोगों का नुकसान होता है क्योंकि वो वर्कर्स उनके इधर काम करते हैं, वो उनसे जॉइंट रहते हैं.
Everyone is feeling the heat as inflation remains a concern in India at just shy of 6%, and interest rates have been rising. Amid a slowing global economy and weakening exports, the World Bank expects the country's economic growth to come in at 6.9% during this financial year, down from 8.7% a year earlier. It's against this challenging backdrop that India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will be presenting the budget. But there are limits on how much of a helping hand she can give to business owners like Mr. Baig. The government spent billions of dollars during the pandemic on food for the poor, vaccines and discounted loans for small businesses. This pushed its fiscal deficit to a record 9.3% of GDP in a financial year to the end of March 2021, more than double the usual number. For the current financial year, the fiscal deficit is budgeted at about 6.4%, and the government wants to bring that down to 4.5% by 2026. This means the government has to rein in its spending. This reduces the scope for tax breaks, and subsidies may be scaled back, even though elections are coming up next year, and the budget could be an opportunity to win over voters.
So I think the government will continue to stay prudent, and therefore the understanding is that the fiscal deficit to GDP ratio will be brought down. Whatever room could be created from a reduction in subsidy spending next year is likely to be diverted towards capex.
Ms. Deshpande says as part of this capital expenditure, the Finance Minister is likely to outline robust spending plans for infrastructure in the budget, including on roads, railways and housing. Such projects can help to generate much-needed jobs amid rising unemployment, which hit a 16-month high of 8.3% in December. The public hopes the budget can offer some solutions to their woes.
One of the things that's really been plaguing my thoughts are the unemployment that's rising in the country, and as somebody who's just about to pass out of college, I really hope the budget's focused on generating more jobs across the country.
पेट्रोलियम है, मिट्टी का तेल है, गैस है,
ये सब चीज़ों में बचना चाहिए ना हमारा। अगर सस्ता गवर्नमेंट करेगी तो ही हमारा बचत होगा और बचने के हिसाब से तो ही हम अपने बाल बच्चों को और घर में भेज सकते हैं।
The government is walking a fine line, though, as it tries to achieve some popularity with one eye on next year's elections, while keeping another on its expenditure. Rebecca Bundon, CNA, Mumbai.
And in a government survey ahead of the budget, India forecasts economic output falling for the second straight year. It sees growth ranging from 6 to 6.8% for the year beginning April. That is down from a projected 7% for the current year, as the global slowdown is likely to hurt exports. India's economy has rebounded to grow 8.7% in fiscal 2021 to 2022 since the COVID pandemic. However, the Ukraine war has fueled inflationary pressures, and this has prompted central banks, including India's, to reverse ultra-loose monetary policy adopted during the pandemic.